Da-da-da. Don't know why this isn't working for me. Well, this is very time consuming. Very time consuming to get this configured. I wish it wasn't quite so time consuming. Okay. Hmm. All right. I'm just going to do this for right now, and I'll try to figure out the chat doohickey at a later time. Um, but for now, anyway, okay. This is the Russian leaping Yeti. Now, been wanting to do one of these for a long time now, and I've been trying. Um, it's been a bit of a process while I figure everything out, and had a lot of technical issues. I wanted to start doing these a long time ago. Mostly because I want to be able to interact with people and take their questions kind of in a somewhat live setting, and try to be able to answer them as best I can. Before I get started, you'll see up in the upper screen right there, there's a little thing here in memory of Master Sergeant Bill Posh. Bill was a friend of mine. I served with him for many years. The pararescue team I was stationed at after until I retired in 2011. Bill was killed in a helicopter crash in Iraq about a week ago, along with 6 other persons. 4 aircrew from New York, a combat rescue officer from Moody Air Force Base in Georgia, and 2 PJs from Patrick Air Force Base, which is my old base. So he was a very good man, and he will be very deeply missed. So moving on, the Russian Leaping Yeti. Now, I get questions all the time from people, either messaging me on Facebook or sending messages or comments into the YouTube videos I upload. Ask me all kinds of questions, but one of the questions I get asked, are there any videos out there that stump you? And I say, yeah, there's actually a lot of them out there, and it's not so much that I can't figure out what it is. It's just usually it's one of those videos where there just isn't enough information to make really any kind of an educated guess about what you're seeing, and this is one of those. It's been up for several years. A lot of people taking a look at it. I know Para Breakdown's been all over it. I'm sure Bigfoot Tony has too. Thinker Thunker, everybody. I know what Para Breakdown thinks about it. He actually has a version that shows the subtitles. Of course, it was uploaded in Russian. So I don't know how accurate those subtitles are, but the subtitles, the people who are speaking in this video reference YouTube, and that's always kind of a red flag. When you hear somebody say, "Hey, we're going to upload to YouTube," what's the purpose of a lot of these videos? Is to make money. Even if it's just $100 off a viral video, $100 buys a lot of vodka, right? Anyway, so let me just go ahead and play the clip here. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it well enough.
Он передвигается. Чучело. Смотри, ветки шатаются. Смотри. О, побежал! Я заснял его. Чтоб не испугать его, пошли. Я заснял. Смотри. Ё-моё! Будет килограмм 200.
Play it one more time.
Смотри, ветки шатаются. Смотри. О, побежал! Я заснял его. Чтоб не испугать его, пошли. Я заснял. Смотри. Ё-моё!
All right. I've kind of gone back and forth on this a few times. There's 2 distinct segments. There's the segment where it's coming out in between the trees right here, kind of going right to left, and then a little bit later on, you'll see where it kind of shoots off down through the trees here. I'll talk about both those individually. But first of all, let me just kind of run through it here frame by frame, the first segment. And then I'll zoom in on it, and I'll also lighten it up a little bit. And I'll tell you what my thoughts are. Let me zoom in on it a little bit. And of course, I have stabilized this. A little bit easier to view. So now I'm just going to run through it kind of frame by frame and let you take a look at it. Now, the first thing to notice, you'll see how pixelated it is, see how there's a lot of the distortion and everything in there. I don't know the original resolution that this is uploaded in. However, you can see it's not very good footage. And when you get a piece of footage like this, of course, the first thing I want to do is I want to stabilize it, but more importantly, zoom in on it. You can see the creature a little bit better, whatever it is, but you can see all the different little distortions and everything in there. When you have a piece of footage like this, you have to be very careful about the smaller details that you're seeing there and drawing any conclusions from them. Because what you see as possibly a hand there or an elbow might just be artifact. All right, it might just be artifact caused by the process of the camera, the uploading process, the compression of YouTube. You just don't know, so you have to be careful. Now, when I first saw this, the first thing that really kind of struck me when I kind of zoomed in on it here is how long the legs are. And of course, thinking about that, you think about a person with something with long legs, which appear to be longer than the arms, at least in this shot. Well, that sounds like a human. All right. Now, again, getting back to the distortion you see in these things, you know how careful you have to be to read too much into what you see here. Um, you know, are the legs really longer than the arms? Is that arm fully extended there, or is it bent? It kind of looks like it's bent there, but it looks more extended there. It's it's hard to say. And the other thing that kind of grabs me is the fact that it's completely bent over at the waist. Now we know from all the sighting data that we have here in the United States that Sasquatch is a creature that has evolved to walk bipedally. And if you look back over the history of man, we are creatures that did the same thing. We started off as quadrupeds who were arboreal in nature. We lived in the trees. And then, we moved to the ground and we started walking bipedally. And that introduced a lot of evolutionary changes. Most importantly, which was the length of our lower limbs. They really started to get longer. Our hips changed shape, our foot structure changed, and all these things. But getting back to Bigfoot and how this affects a possible Sasquatch is this is a creature that, again, has evolved to walk bipedally, but still, according to some reports, has retained the ability to walk quadrupedally. So, and if you were to compare the limb lengths to Patty, for example, I've done some of my own measurements on her. Her arms are longer than her legs, but not a whole lot longer, because she's a creature that has evolved to walk bipedally. So her legs have lengthened considerably compared to other apes. So when I see this, again, we know that from reports that this is a creature that has evolved, but still retains the ability to walk quadrupedally at times. So you have to be, I go either way with this on different days. It looks like a person, or it could possibly be a non-human primate. So this one, at least in this section right here, I'm back and forth on it, and it's one of those ones where I got to throw up my hands and say, you know what, there's not enough there. If we had better picture quality, if we could see the whole body, we could do some measurements, and we could come to a conclusion about what it is. But with this level of footage, you just can't. All right. So now we move on to the second port. Well, here it is, zoomed in a little bit more now. And again, zooming in on it to this level really just fuzzes it up. It's really no help whatsoever. So again, it could be a guy in dark clothing, or it could be, a real Russian Yeti. Who knows? Now moving on to the second part, which is this. This is the portion where after it's crossed over through the clearing here, now it kind of takes a little bit of a right turn and starts running away from these guys. Goes through the trees, does a great big leap right there, and then comes down. Now, a couple things stick out to me on this one. Number one, this leap that it does right here looks pretty impressive. Again, looks impressive. But again, there's too much missing from this piece of footage to really tell how high it's leaping. Is there a log right there that you can't see, but it's behind the bush that it's stepping up on and jumping and makes that leap look very impressive? Who knows? You can't tell. The other thing, from this standpoint, look how long that arm looks. Okay? But again, is that really part of the arm? It does look like it. Looks like it's launching itself right there. The arm comes out. Here's the left arm over here, the right arm over here. And again, here's the leg, but you can't tell exactly what the position is. It looks like it's coming up a little bit. So, it would be impossible to get any kind of definitive measurement from this. And even here, it looks like the leg is near full extension, but you really can't tell. It's just too fuzzed up to really gain any kind of meaningful data from that to come to a conclusion. So, that's it. There's not much I can say about this. It's just too grainy and too far away. You don't get the proper angles. There's too much brush in the way to really be able to get a good look at this thing and make a determination about exactly what it is. I spoke earlier about Sasquatch retaining the ability to walk quadrupedally, as has been reported several times. Now, here's the other part about this when it comes to the Russian Yeti, we just don't have the information available. You know, there's quite a few sightings. As far as I know, certainly not as many as we have in North America. I don't believe we have quite the footprint data, and we don't quite have any data, nearly the data that we have on Bigfoot Sasquatch in North America, to make any real comparison. You know, is this a cousin to the Sasquatch, a distant relative? It would make sense, right? If we have animals that are separated by a continent, but they share many characteristics, the way they look, the way they walk, it would make sense that these are some kind of cousins, at least on the evolutionary tree. But has a Yeti retained the ability to walk quadrupedally as well as bipedally, like Sasquatch has reported them in? You know, we just don't know. Well, not much more I can say about it other than that. Anyway, that's really all I have to say about this. I'm going to cut this one kind of short. Obviously, I still have some things to figure out technically with doing these live streams. So we'll just kind of go from there. I'm going to start doing these maybe once a week, maybe once a month, maybe more. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how popular they are. And I'd also like to start doing them a little bit later on in the evening, you know, Saturday, Sunday evening, 7 o'clock. I'll be taking a look at footage, possibly, you know, get a few people more well-known in the Sasquatch community to maybe join me via Skype and you know, talk about different things. But go over and head over to my Facebook page and take a look over there, and I'll announce it over there when the next live stream will be, and hopefully you guys can join me and I can take your questions. So I really hope you'll all join me. But thanks for joining me today. If you did watch this, I appreciate it. And if you have any requests, by all means, send them over to me, and I'll take a look at it. And hopefully, if it's something I can do anything with, I'll do a breakdown on it, or may even do a live breakdown on it over here streaming live. Anyway,